Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I continue my series covering the week that was in pro wrestling. That is right. So today we're going to cover Raw, AEW Dynamite, Impact Wrestling, and MLW Fusion. No NWA Power for this week because it was a recap show for the Crockett Cup once again. We'll probably have some new stuff coming pretty soon. So, sit tight, grab yourself a snack, maybe something to drink, and let's do this. So, obviously, first things first, we are going to cover Monday Night Raw. And to start off Raw, we get a championship presentation for Rhea Ripley. She is now the new Women's World Champion. It's basically a white strap version of the title Seth Rollins now holds, which I know, kind of lazy, whatever, but personally, I'm just glad these titles aren't color-coded anymore. Like, oh, blue has to be on SmackDown, red has to be on Raw. I'm happy for this. So, Rhea gets on the microphone, pretty much says, yeah, I'm the best, I definitely deserve this. And behind every great woman, there's a great man. Turns to Dom, obviously, because, before Dom can get any words out comes Cody Rhodes. Pretty much says congratulations to Rhea. And then issues the challenge to Dom for Money in the Bank. Dom accepts. And while Dom and Rhea are leaving, Miz, who Cody has a match with in a little bit, tries to sneak attack Cody. That fails. Then Dom attacks Cody from behind. And then we start with the Cody Rhodes versus Miz match, which, was alright. It was what it needed to be. Cody won with the Crossroads, obviously. And, build up some more momentum for Cody for Money in the Bank. And what I'm going to think is going to go down at SummerSlam, the Brock Lesnar stipulation match. Next up, we got Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Becky Lynch talking backstage. Lynch then walks off. She runs into the Alpha Academy, who are training Maxine to do an arm drag, which that'll come into play a little later on. Then we got Becky Lynch in front of the people, cutting a promo, saying, man earned her way into the Money in the Bank. It's the one accolade that has eluded me. And for everyone who thinks the person at the top is the champion, the Money in the Bank winner actually holds all the power because they can change pretty much history. And then Zoe Stark interrupts. She's heard enough, brings up her losses to Trish Stratus, not winning Money in the Bank, so many failures, while Zoe learned from the best, and Becky didn't learn much. Becky Lynch then called Zoe not relevant because of her bland personality, in which Zoe retorted, I don't like you have the best personality either. Which, honestly, that was a great retort. How about we not wait until Money in the Bank, and then I can break your face right here. And that brings out Becky Lynch's opponent for the evening, Chelsea Green, who pretty much says, you took out my rightful spot at Money in the Bank. Now it's time for enough talking. I want some revenge. which then that leads right into Becky Lynch versus Chelsea Green. You got Zoe Stark on the stage. You got the obvious interference from Sonya Deville ringside. But ultimately, after a manhandle slam and then into a disarmor, your winner by submission, Becky Lynch. Well, it was a decent match. Nothing to write home about, but hopefully one day we get to see Becky Lynch and Chelsea Green in a true one-on-one contest given enough time. Next up, we got Judgment Day backstage, in which it's Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Oh no, it's actually Rhea Ripley and Dominic. Pretty much saying, yeah, Cody's gonna get smacked at Money in the Bank. I got a lot on my mind. And then we get a quick Matt Riddle interview, pretty much saying, yeah, I definitely need some gearing up for my Money in the Bank qualifier for tonight, but I can do that alone. So, that's pretty neat. Then we get into Matt Riddle versus Damian Priest in what was, I think, easily the match of the night. A lot of good back and forth, a lot of good counters. But your winner after a big old Razor's Edge, in which I haven't seen that move hit in a long time, Damian Priest. This then brings out Imperium minus Giovanni Vinci because he's selling an injury. And then Priest pretty much says, yeah, take care of your business. Imperium get in the ring and start beating down Matt Riddle. And that's that. No one makes the save, which, that's a little nutty. We then get a Cody Rhodes interview. He's pretty much saying, yeah, Dom wouldn't have accepted my challenge if Rhea wasn't there. Dom is going to get hurt. I'm going to hurt him. And while Brock doesn't show up, Dom won't go away, which, that's a heck of a line. And then he wishes Dominic Mysterio good luck at Money in the Bank. So, nice short and sweet promo from Cody. And what is an odd matchup. We then get a brief Natalya interview. Her pretty much saying, yeah, me losing all the time, it's getting old, and I need to make a change. And then she walks off. And then the interview walks in right into Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Last week, Kevin Owens was this close to beating Gunther, but now we're getting some payback on Imperium here tonight. Then Imperium walk up, and while Gunther did win last week, Riddle took out one of our own. And basically Imperium implied, yeah, let's make this match of ours tonight a tag team title match. Kevin Owens pretty much steps ahead and pretty much says, yeah, let's do it. Let's get it. I'm going to put my gear on and we're going to kick your butt. So, this wild Kevin Owens gimmick, I think, is working for me. Like, he's a lot of fun to watch, not just in the ring, but in promos, being all paranoid and stuff. Jinder Mahal and Indus Sher then call out Benjamin and Alexander for another match, which don't love. Don't need to see them again. Then we get Ricochet and Bronson Reed in what was a really good matchup. Little guy versus big guy energy. Really worked really well here. Then Nakamura comes out. He sits ringside through the rest of the matchup. And then they both Reed and Ricochet end up out the outside. In which Reed throws Ricochet into Nakamura. gets back in the ring, Reed going up for a tsunami, and then Nakamura knocks him off the top rope for the DQ victory. This then leads to a beatdown between Nakamura and Ricochet on Reed. But then Reed overpowers both of them, hits a tsunami. And, this is going to be interesting to watch going forward. This little three-way feud, I think, has been really interesting. Like, low-key, I've been enjoying these three going at it every week. Then we get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn backstage again. Zayn asks Owens, what's going on with you, dude? You've been mouthing off at everybody. You've been blowing up a lot. You need to come down a bit more. Kevin Owens then reveals, because of all the bloodline stuff and now Imperium, I'm under a lot of stress. So that's why I'm out there, but I'm ready to go for a match tonight. I just need a little water. So, hopefully you didn't drink anything from a water fountain. Those things can get gross. Then we get a brief Ricochet interview. Ricochet backstage, he's looking for Adam Pearce. Pretty much says, I want Reed next week in another one-on-one. I got unfinished business. It is then revealed next week we're going to get Nakamura versus Reed, as Nakamura is revealed standing off to the side. And Nakamura pretty much tells Ricochet, it's my time to succeed where you failed. And you can have whatever's left of Reed once I'm done. Which, great line by Nakamura. That was a great promo. We then get a very interesting Finn Balor promo. He calls out Rollins. He goes out. And the entire time the crowd is just singing Seth Rollins' song. So we don't really get the cusp of the message Finn Balor was talking about. But end of the day, Finn Balor challenges Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title at Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins agrees. And with their history, especially in title matches, I believe it was SummerSlam 2016, where Balor won the Universal title in its unveiling, but had to relinquish it because of an injury caused in the match with Seth Rollins. So, bringing up a little history between these two, that's great. This is going to be a heck of a match, and more than likely we're going to see a couple of buckle bombs. So, that's going to be interesting. We then get Raquel Rodriguez versus Shayna Baszler in a very, very, very kind of nothing match, which ended in a roll-up win for Shayna Baszler. We then get an Iron Sheik vignette. Rest in peace, Iron Sheik. We then get a very interesting one-on-one match. You have Chad Gable versus Eric. Now, ringside, you have Maxine Dupree and Valhalla. Valhalla went after Dupree, looking to attack her again. Dupree then hits a big old arm drag for the pop. A roll-up by Chad Gable for the quick victory. And honestly, looks like Maxine's going to be a decent wrestler. I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. We then briefly see Balor talking with JD McDonough, telling him how he made friends in the business and how you can learn a thing or two. We then get Priest interrupted. He then asks, if you won Money in the Bank, would you cash in on me? He then thinks about it for a little bit. Priest then says, no, I would never do that in my life. Uh, we need to keep each other's backs. And we're going to end this at Money in the Bank. We then get a brief Seth Rollins interview. He says he's prepared as he's ever been for Finn Balor. But then he asks, is Finn Balor prepared? He's about to face Seth Rollins as his best. And he doesn't know if he's ready for a world title. And he then announces next week he's going to have a world title open challenge match, so that should be fun. It is then revealed that Logan Paul is going to be at Raw next week, so we have that to look forward to. More than likely he's going to insert himself into Money in the Bank, which, God, I hope he doesn't win. And our main event for Raw, it's for the Undisputed Tag Team titles, in which, if any titles really need some redesigning, it's these. The nickel titles do not work for me. They need more than a recoloring, they need a rebranding. And, as we get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending against Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser of Imperium. And this was pretty much where Kevin Owens and Gunther left off last week. A lot of great back and forth, making Gunther look like a monster, which, as he should be. A lot of quick tag outs. Near the end, Matt Riddle comes out. Catches the eye of Gunther. Gunther comes out to confront him, hits him with the biggest boot I've ever seen. Then back in the ring, Kaiser gets hit with a big old DDT and a blue thunder bomb for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to keep their tag team titles. Honestly, this was a heck of a fun main event. Kept Gunther looking good. I do wish they would do a little bit more of that with Imperium as a whole, because Kaiser and Vinci are probably one of my favorite tag teams from the old NXT brand. You know, NXT Black and Gold, not current NXT. So, that is Raw for us. That was very enjoyable. Honestly, Raw has felt like it's been flying by lately. Yes, I know 3 hours is still a little bit of a slog, but ultimately, I've had a really good time watching Raw lately. Now, next up, we got AEW Dynamite. And we start off with potential number one contender Adam Cole, baby, taking on World Heavyweight Champion MJF. And whoo, boy, did these two tear the house down. This was an absolute great match. For everything MJF tried to throw at Cole, Cole countered. There was a couple of times Cole went for the Panama Sunrise. MJF rolled out of the way. Then after a Panama Sunrise, boom, Adam Cole is going for the pin. Ding, 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 ding. Time limit draw. And, that was a hell of a bout. Definitely an interesting way to keep both looking good while getting ready for a next challenge. Cole then gets on the mic, pretty much just says 5 more minutes. And then MJF gets right into Cole's face. It looks like they're about to go another round. Then MJF rolls out of the ring and leaves. So, it does look like we are going to get some interesting stuff between Cole and MJF going forward. We then get an interesting little Sammy Guevara interview. Pretty much recapping his ride in AEW so far. Pretty much gender revealed his child as a daughter. So congratulations on that, Mr. Sammy Guevara. Reveals he's not done with the AEW Championship, as he'll have his wife in one arm, his child in another, wearing the AEW title. And of course that gets boos from the crowd, which, you know, that's a little sad. I've been liking Guevara a little bit more. Darby Allin comes out. He congratulates Sammy Guevara on the birth of his child. But it isn't why he's out there. He thinks that the JAS are holding him back and you need to leave. Now, you don't have to answer right now, but I know the answer. This brings out Chris Jericho. Then Jericho asks, Sammy, why didn't you come to me, your mentor, for help? You could have been world champion by now. In which Sammy retorts, Jericho, why didn't you call me about Adam Cole so he didn't beat you twice? Which got a pretty big pop from the crowd. Jericho then retorts, Sammy, you need to remember the structure of the Jericho Appreciation Society. So next week, let's reform La Sex Gods and take on some opponents. Darby Allin comes in, pretty much says, I don't think he's in for that. Jericho then turns to him and says, Darby, you better shut your mouth, otherwise me and Sammy are going to beat you down 2-on-1. You're all alone here. Then Darby pretty much says, I'm not alone. That brings out Sting. He's got the baseball bat, face to face with Jericho, in which apparently Jericho in an interview revealed he has no interest in fighting Sting. So I guess that was a big old swerve. So we're going to get in the future Sting versus Chris Jericho, in which, yes, please. I apparently missed this one, but apparently IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sonata has issued an open challenge to Forbidden Door for the title, which we'll talk about who answers that later. Next up, we got 8-man tag team action. We got the Embassy, that's Brian Cage, Toa Liona, Khan, and Swerve Strickland, taking on Darby Allin, Sting, Orange Cassidy, and Keith Lee. Good to see Keith Lee back on my TV. Hopefully he gets some more TV time with Collision. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. This one was a cluster. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was definitely very hard to keep up with. But ultimately, after a clothesline, a scorpion, deathlock, and a coffin drop, your winners, Orange Cassidy, Keith Lee, Darby Allin, and Sting. So that's interesting to see where that goes. We then get a Guns interview with Austin and Colton Gunn. They pretty much say, we don't really have a relationship with Jay White and Juice Robinson, but we are the Best Brothers tag team in AEW. And they call out the Hardy Boys for a match for next week, in which, that should be a fun one. We then get the TNT title match as Wardlow takes on Jake Hager. Jake Hager jumps Wardlow before the bell on the ramp. Then bell rings. Wardlow pretty much dominates. Although Jake Hager did get some stuff in. It was pretty much, hoss fight. And after the Powerbomb Symphony, your winner, Wardlow. Then we get Christian Cage and Luchasaurus on the big screen. At first, we have some audio issues, but that gets that gets fixed. Then it's revealed Wardlow issued an open challenge for Luchasaurus for the title, and he accepts for Collision. So, for Collision, TNT title match, Wardlow versus Luchasaurus. Interesting place to put that. We'll see where that goes. And then it is revealed Arn Anderson. They have Arn Anderson laid out backstage. So, we'll see what happens there. Then another video New Japan Pro Wrestling guy challenge as Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan, challenges MJF for the AEW title at Forbidden Door. And while MJF is being checked out by doctors, that is revealed for him. And he pretty much says no. And this isn't the first time I no-showed an event. So, we'll see what goes there. We then get to see an Orange Cassidy interview backstage. Wants to know the plans for Forbidden Door. And Zack Sabre Jr. interrupts, in which he calls Orange Cassidy Orange Dude, I think he said. I don't know. I forget what he said. And he issues a challenge for the All International title for Orange Cassidy, which, yeah, I could. That sounds pretty good to me. Daniel Garcia then interrupts this, asks where Orange Cassidy's buddy Shibata is, because I want the pure title. Cassidy reveals, yeah, Shibata isn't here tonight, but next week he will be. And let's tag up. You two versus us two. So, that's going to be interesting to see. We then get a women's title match for the AEW women's title as Sky Blue takes on Toni Storm, and Sky Blue got a lot of offense in this, which is pretty surprising. Sky Blue's mom was sitting ringside for this match. She gets a little spray paint from the Outcasts right to the face. Before the Outcasts could give Sky Blue the spray paint, Sky Blue had her own, which, honestly, that's pretty smart. But then the number games kick in. Storm Zero, that results in a 2 count, right into a Texas Cloverleaf for the submission win for Toni Storm. Outcasts then continue the beatdown on Sky Blue, which brings out Willow Nightingale. And this sets up a tag team match for Collision. Actually, I think it's for Rampage, which, that should be interesting. We then get a Jungle Hook interview. That's Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Hook. Where it's pretty much revealed Jungle Boy is going to accept Sonata's challenge for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. Then he asks Hook to be his ringside at Forbidden Door, in which more than likely we're going to see Jungle Boy turn on Hook, maybe a new heel character, because no offense to Jungle Boy, he needs something else. He's a great wrestler. He needs something a bit more. We then get revealed Bryan Danielson is on commentary for this next match. We then get a Bullet Club Gold FTR dueling promo for Collision, where Bullet Club Gold's goal is to ruin CM Punk's homecoming. So, that's going to be interesting to watch for Saturday. And Fine Alamo, our main event, a trios match in which you have the Blackpool Combat Club, that's Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Jon Moxley taking on Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks, aka the Hung Bucks. Yes, that is a real name for these guys. Look it up. This match was all kinds of brutal, really good back and forth action from everybody. But then after a BTE trigger, buckshot lariat, your winner, the Hung Bucks. Post-match, the Blackpool Combat Club jumped the Elite. Then we got the return of Eddie Kingston to AEW, who beelines it right to Claudio Castagnoli. And then they all brawl. Konosuke Takeshita then comes out and takes out Eddie Kingston, which then brings out Kenny Omega to brawl with Takeshita for a little bit, and then finally Will Ospreay, who apparently no one saw coming, super kicks Kenny Omega, Hidden Blade, and then a Stormbreaker. So, a lot of good build-up for Forbidden Door. I think this was one of the best AEW Dynamites yet. A lot of good stuff. My only issue is the women's title match. It felt kind of tacked on. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Sky Blue, I like Toni Storm. It felt like it was being rushed for time a little bit. But that's only my only criticism for that show. As we now move on to Impact Wrestling, which this is the fallout for Against All Odds, in which we have the new X Division Champion and World Champion Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley coming out for a promo. Sabin pretty much says, yeah, I had the craziest dream that at Against All Odds, the Motor City Machine Guns walked out with singles gold, but then I looked down and saw it was a reality. Alex Shelley then revealed he ugly cried after his big win. He pretty much reveals, yeah, I've made pro wrestling a better place with all of those who I've mentored. Kazuchika Okada, the Young Bucks, Seth Rollins, on and on. And it's time for a new chapter of Impact Wrestling, the Machine Gun Era. And this brings out Nick Aldis, Alex Shelley's next challenger for Slammiversary. Pretty much saying, yeah, we all called our shots and we did what we meant to do. Everyone shows respect for you guys. Didn't want to step on your night the night before. Then Aldis reveals, yeah, I'm also, when I first got into Impact Wrestling, I didn't really know what I was doing. But then you, Alex Shelley, took me under your wing and, taunt me. So, another former champion mentored by Alex Shelley, which is great. Then he reveals, yeah, you're not looking at the same guy you had to help years ago. You are now on my level, and we're going to fight it out for the championship. Out then comes Trey Miguel, pretty much simulating gagging. Yeah, I feel forgotten. I was still a generational champion, and I just want your respect. Sabin then reveals, I feel like you've been talking about this for such a long time. You don't just get respect, you have to earn respect. And if you really wanted our respect, you'd come down here and face us face to face. This brings out Kenny King and his protege Sean Jean, pretty much saying, yeah, you guys were ready to spring a trap on Trey Miguel here. While you guys were handed your opportunities, we had to fight and claw for hours. Well, now it's evened up, so you can't jump Trey. Then out comes Giselle Shaw and her crew, pretty much saying, what she's been saying, Spotlight should be mine, but since Trinity got here, she's stolen it. Out comes Trinity. And she talks down Jay Vidal. Then out comes Deonna Purrazzo, reveals she's surpassed 500 days as Knockouts champion, and I should be involved with this. And then they keep jawing. Out comes Santino Marella, and he says, I'm not going to pass up this golden opportunity. So this is going to be our main event, a 10-person tag. It's going to be Aldis, the Machine Guns, Trinity, and Purrazzo taking on Kenny King, Shelton Jean, Trey Miguel, Savannah Evans, and Giselle Shaw. Which, dang. All I'm going to say about that, dang. That's a heck of a main event. We can get a Steve Macklin promo, pretty much saying, it took me 2 years to get that Impact World title. It took you 20, Alex Shelley. But you took the title from me, and I should still be champion. So, looks like we're going to get a little more intensity out of Steve Macklin. We then get a design promo. And then, which Dina pretty much says, the design has failed over and over and over. We tried against OVE, and now we want change. Dina then looks in Angel's way. Angels is pretty much says, I wanted change to myself. I didn't want to be in another cult. But I've been a good little soldier. The reason the design failed shouldn't be just on me. It should be on you. Dina pretty much says, remember who brought you here. Remember that this is exactly what Callahan wanted. Now the design is going to claim what's ours, which could be all of Impact. Who knows? We'll see what goes on from here. Next up, we got Moose taking on Rich Swann. And honestly, this was a really, really good big guy versus little guy matchup. A lot of twists and turns. But ultimately, after a massive roll-up, your winner, Rich Swann. We then get Heath backstage, calling his journey for Impact a roller coaster. He earned his contract, but then he was out injured for 11 months. He came back, tagged with Rhino, won the tag team titles, but then Rhino got hurt. He got revenge on the cult that hurt him. Won the tag team titles again, and then Rhino was hurt again. What's next on me? You haven't seen the last of Heath. Don't sleep on me. Then we get Moose walking around backstage, runs into Hawkins, pretty much says, we've both suffered some tough losses lately. Wish you didn't give up on us. And while my good hands couldn't beat the ABC, Moose and Myers definitely could. We then get a very odd Bully Ray promo, pretty much saying he's been a victim of Scott D'Amore. He had no right to issue his violence at against all odds. He had the victory in the 8-for-1 match, and then Scott D'Amore cost me. Says some stuff about mental health. And then out comes Scott D'Amore. pretty much says, yeah, I've called you a lot of things, Bully, but the whining, stooging wasn't one of them. Then Bully Ray pretty much says, hey, language. Which sends me back to the old Captain America days. And Scott D'Amore pretty much says, yeah, you've been a jerk to everybody here in Impact. It was time for someone to reciprocate those actions back to you. Then Scott D'Amore reveals, yeah, the board of directors called me into their office and they read me your entire complaint letter, and it is, what I did is unbecoming of president of Impact, and I will be taking a leave of absence as president, which, you know, music to Bully Ray's ears. Bully Ray then threatens Scott D'Amore, if he doesn't get out of his ring, he's gonna beat you down. Scott D'Amore then reveals, yeah, I agree with the board, but before I take my leave of absence, I'm going to do something I should have done a long time ago, and just starts hammering on Bully Ray. This brings out Steve Maclin, and he wallops Scott D'Amore with a couple of chairs. Lights go out. Then ominous promo starts. PCO is in the ring, and he is just taking all kinds of shots. And then he just beats down Bully Ray and Maclin. Then Scott D'Amore reveals, yeah, look, before I issued my release of absence for Impact, I made a match. And it's been a long time since I made one. It's going to be Maclin and Bully Ray versus PCO and me. So we are getting some Scott D'Amore action. He is a former wrestler. He hasn't wrestled for a while, though. So let's hope very little ring rust. We then get Bully Ray and Maclin backstage in like a weird hallway. Maclin pretty much saying, yeah, I've faced PCO so many times. It takes way too much to keep him down. I'm not sure if we can. Bully Ray interrupts him, pretty much says, you're a Marine, right? Act like it. Let's get some tactics together and let's bring down that monster. In which Kaz, you hear a little off screen, pretty much saying, yeah, you know the phrase, screw around and find out? Well, you both screwed around, now you're about to find out, courtesy of PCO. Maclin and Bully then start getting in Kaz's face. Out of anyone to make the save, it's Eddie Edwards who does. Pretty much backing off Bully Ray and Steve Maclin. Then Eddie Edwards pretty much says, yeah, we're both Killer Kowalski guys, and if anyone is gonna take you on, it's gonna be me. And while we don't always see eye to eye, we will always have that bond. Which, nice little sentiment, but it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Are they going to tag team up? Are they going to still be rivals? I'm not sure. But it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Next up, a very, very short matchup between the ABC and Decay. ABC being Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Decay, Black Taurus and Crazy Steve. The action was definitely really good, but it ended after a fold, and Art of Finesse into a fold for your winners, the ABC. We then have a camera following the ABC backstage. The Motor City Machine Guns meet them backstage. with them pretty much saying, yeah, we're proud to see the tag division in such good hands with you guys. And they got nothing but respect for one another. We then get a Parbinder Gujar interview in which we're going to see a YouTube documentary about his journey. They show some footage from that. Gujar asks how he feels. Before he can answer, Dangle shows up. Pretty much says, yeah, who would watch a documentary about you? The documentary should be about me, but me outside of wrestling. And then Gujar pretty much calls Dangle a bitter asshole. So, not very PG, so that got bleeped. And finally, our main event for Impact Wrestling. It's Trey Miguel, Kenny King, Savannah Evans, Giselle Shaw, and Sheldon Jean taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, Nick Aldis, Trinity, and Deonna Purrazzo. This whole thing was near impossible to keep track of, but ultimately the wrestling, when there was just one-on-one wrestling, it was really crisp, it was really good. Everyone got their good stuff in. But then, after a Michinoku driver, a super kick, and a shell shock, your winners, the Motor City Machine Guns, Nick Aldis, Trinity, and Deonna Purrazzo. Now, post-match, Shelley is going for his world title to celebrate with it. Nick Aldis picks it up and just hammers Alex Shelley with it. So it looks like Nick Aldis is going to be a heel going forward, which I think is the best route for Nick Aldis. He hasn't been really doing it for me as a babyface, so top tier heel, just as good. So that is it for Impact. A pretty decent follow-up for Against All Odds as we build towards Slammiversary, which I am very, very much looking forward to. And Fine Alamo, the last show I'm going to cover for now. We have MLW Fusion, where we start with dueling Delmi XO Taya Valkyrie promos. Delmi is done waiting for Taya, who's been ducking me, and I'm ready for my title shot. I have her number. Taya only cares about herself and her image. She doesn't care about MLW. And I'm going to bring in a new era of MLW. We then get our first matchup of the evening, and it's for the MLW middleweight title, as Lince Dorado defends against Lio Rush, who physically has the title but never beat Dorado, and Akira from The Calling, in which, before the bell, Akira jumps Dorado on the ramp. Then everyone gets in the ring, bell rings, and it's pretty much good old cruiserweight action. Lots of diving, lots of near falls. But after the death penalty finisher, which is definitely a hardcore finisher name, your winner, new middleweight champion, Akira. We then get the start of a Taya Valkyrie interview, but right in the middle, the audio pops off. It does come on briefly. Those hands backstage pretty much saying for Taya, yeah, we're just going to make some adjustments, make sure this doesn't happen again. Taya pretty much says, yeah, I can't do this. Starts to walk off. She eventually comes back. Then we get a Jacob Fatu update video. Pretty much says, yeah, I'm clear to compete. I'm ready to go. Calls out Hennigan. Next week, it's my turn for the openweight title shot. And you cannot... Then he calls out The Calling, saying, you cannot stop the Samoan SWAT team. We then get a fun little Microman vignette, which was honestly kind of neat. Then we get a little Calling video in which it is revealed that Mandy Leon is going to be joining them. So, yeah, we got another contender for the featherweight title. And it's about time someone signed Mandy Leon. She's more than a little underrated. We then get a Willie Mack promo before his match with Sam Adonis. Pretty much saying, yeah, my game day isn't special. I work out just as much as you do. Then he lists all the snacks he had, including like donuts and fruit with some whipped cream on it, and it's definitely a little crazy. Then he pretty much says, yeah, Sam Adonis, I'm gonna tear your ass up like I tear up this food. We then get a little Sam Adonis in the ring promo, pretty much bringing down New York City, which is where they are right now. And, yeah, then that leads into Willie Mack versus Sam Adonis, in which, yeah, this was a really, really fun match. Lots of good back and forth. At one point, though, Willie Mack was doing the jump over Sam Adonis spot, came down a little weak on his knees. Sam Adonis then targeted that area, which, you know, great little note to make of that. Then after a Death Valley driver, a 450 splash, your winner, Sam Adonis. Which then leads into a Mance Warner interview on the ramp. He has a cold beer and he's ready for a fight. And then that leads into Sam Adonis and John Hennigan coming up, pretty much saying, yeah, Warner, you don't belong here. Why don't you take your beer, take your boys, and get out of here to your indie promotion. Then Mance Warner takes a sip of his beer, spits it right at Sam Adonis, and that leads to a Sam Adonis-Hennigan beatdown. And that includes Adonis getting a strap and choking him with it, which, you know, that was brutal. So, yeah, we'll see how good Mance Warner is coming up. And this bugs me. Where the heck was the rest of the Second Gear crew? Like, where was Mance Warner's backup? Anyway, this leads into an Alex King promo, pretty much revealing, yeah, Boomaya Fight Club doesn't fight for free, and Court Bauer, who owns MLW, is feeling a little cheap with the pennies. So, the man behind the Fight Club does have the cash, and in the coming weeks we're going to have the Big Apple Grapple, in which someone pins or submits me, they get the money. So, that's interesting. We then get revealed that Becca is going to be doing a performance at Never Say Never. So, that's going to be fun. We then go back to the Taya Valkyrie interview, still having some sound issues. Then, once that's kind of resolved, Taya says, yeah, this is why I'm leaving. This is why I don't want to be in MLW anymore, and I'm going on to bigger things. That then leads into the women's title match, as Delmi Exo takes on Taya Valkyrie. Now, early on, Taya does overpower Delmi Exo a little bit. Delmi tries to fight back, but ultimately is taken down, including a couple times by John Hennigan. So, near the end, Road to Valhalla is blocked. Hennigan is up on the apron. It looks like he's ready, so he's holding Delmi Exo for Taya to hit. Delmi moves, elbow right to Hennigan. Then that leads to the Delmi driver for the victory, and new MLW featherweight champion Delmi Exo. It was pretty solid outing from Delmi. Both looked really good in this matchup. And we'll see where the MLW featherweight division goes from here. Alright, that is it from me for this week. I hope you guys enjoy. Coming up, we got the rest of the week in pro wrestling. That's Ring of Honor, SmackDown, Rampage, and the debut episode of AEW Collision. We got predictions video coming up for Forbidden Door. We got Slammiversary coming up, Money in the Bank, Triple Mania, and it's all going to be fun. I can't wait to see what goes down next. I hope you are too. And until then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.